The chamber was silent. It was larger than any building on Earth. The ceiling was high and covered with glowing stars made from light. Hundreds of alien leaders sat in tall seats arranged in circles. Their eyes, sensors, and strange faces were all focused on one single figure standing in the center. A human. Ambassador Daniel Hayes stood alone. He wore a simple black diplomatic uniform with a silver Earth emblem on his chest. His hands were behind his back. His face was calm. He did not look afraid. But everyone knew he was not there for peace anymore. The alien empire of XYRR had attacked a human colony 3 months ago. Thousands of civilians had died. Earth had demanded justice. The XYRR warlord had refused. Now this meeting was called. Not to negotiate. But to humiliate. The massive alien warlord, Supreme Commander Vrax, leaned forward in his throne-like seat. His body was covered in dark armor. His red eyes glowed in the dim light. "You humans," Vrax said, his voice deep and heavy, echoing through the chamber. "You come here demanding justice. You speak of peace. But you are weak." The other alien leaders murmured in agreement. Ambassador Hayes did not react. He simply looked up at Vrax and spoke clearly. "Humanity does not want war," he said. His voice was steady. "We came here to prevent more death. Return the captured worlds. Admit your crime. Pay reparations. And this ends today." A low wave of laughter spread through the chamber. Some aliens banged their claws against metal seats. Others flashed bright colors in mockery. Vrax smiled. "You are alone," the warlord said. "Your fleets are small. Your worlds are few. You are surrounded by powers far greater than you." Hayes nodded slightly. "Yes," he said calmly. "But we endure." The chamber grew quieter. Vrax stood up slowly. "And what happens," the warlord asked, "if we refuse?" The air felt heavy. The cameras recording the meeting zoomed in. Across the galaxy, billions were watching the live transmission. On Earth, in homes and military centers, people watched in silence. Hayes lifted his chin slightly. "If you refuse," he said, "then this moment will be remembered as the moment you chose extinction." Complete silence. Even the alien leaders stopped moving. Then Vrax laughed loudly. A cruel, deep laugh. "Extinction," he said. "From you?" Without warning, he raised one armored hand. Energy crackled in the air. Several alien guards stepped forward. Their weapons glowed bright blue. The chamber screens flashed red. Ambassador Hayes did not move. He did not beg. He did not step back. Instead, he pressed a small device hidden in his sleeve. A signal. Sent directly to Earth. Vrax noticed. "Recording your final words," the warlord mocked. Hayes looked directly at the main camera. His voice was calm. "If this transmission reaches Earth, let history remember that humanity offered peace." The guards raised their weapons. "Let history remember," Hayes continued, "that we were not the aggressors." On Earth, military officers stood frozen in command centers. Families held their breath. "And let history remember," he said softly, "that when humanity is pushed to the edge, we do not break." The weapons fired. A flash of blinding light filled the chamber. The transmission cut to static. Silence. Across Earth, screens went black. For a few seconds, no one spoke. In the Galactic Council chamber, smoke slowly faded. Ambassador Daniel Hayes was gone. Vrax turned to the other leaders. "Let this be a lesson," he said proudly. "Humans are nothing." Some aliens clapped. Some nodded. But not all. A few watched quietly. Because something felt wrong. Far away, on Earth, Deep under the surface of the planet, inside a secure military command bunker, a red light began to blink. One signal received. Confirmation of ambassador death. A young officer looked at his screen with pale face. "Sir," he whispered. The room was silent. At the center of the bunker stood Admiral Catherine Zhao. Her expression did not change. She closed her eyes for one short second. Then she opened them. "Begin Phase 1, she said calmly. All across the bunker, lights turned from blue to red. Hidden doors opened. Encrypted messages were sent. In distant parts of the solar system, massive objects that looked like silent asteroids slowly powered on. Deep space shipyards activated. Human fleets that did not officially exist came online. Earth did not scream. Earth did not threaten. Earth went silent. And in that silence, war began. Earth did not cry. Earth did not protest. Earth did not send angry messages to the Galactic Council. Earth went completely silent. For 3 days, no human signal left the solar system. No speeches. No military threats. No emergency meetings broadcast to the public. Just silence. Across the galaxy, the XYRR Empire celebrated. Supreme Commander Vrax held a grand victory gathering. Alien leaders congratulated him. They believed the humans would break. They believed Earth would beg for mercy. They are emotional creatures, Vrax said proudly. They will shout. They will threaten. But they will not fight. The council agreed. Humans were new. Humans were small. Humans were weak. Or so they thought. Deep beneath Earth's surface, inside the Global Defense Command, the atmosphere was calm. Too calm. Admiral Catherine Zhao stood in front of a massive holographic star map. Hundreds of red markers blinked across different systems. Every red marker was a XYR military base. Every blue marker was human. She did not show anger. She did not show sadness. But everyone in that room knew something had changed. Ambassador Hayes' final message was clear, she said quietly. Humanity offered peace. She looked at the star map. They chose extinction. A senior officer stepped forward. All civilian evacuation plans are complete. Outer colonies are secure. Fleet production is at 100% capacity. Zhao nodded once. Activate the outer shipyards. Far beyond Mars, far beyond Pluto, hidden in dark regions of space where scanners rarely looked. Massive structures powered on. They did not look like normal stations. They were enormous circular ring ships, silent, cold, deadly. For years, humanity had been building in secret. Not because they wanted war. But because they prepared for it. In another part of the galaxy, a XYR surveillance ship scanned human territory. The alien captain frowned. Strange, he muttered. What is it? His officer asked. Human trade routes are gone. Civilian traffic has dropped to zero. Military patrols have disappeared. Are they retreating? The captain zoomed the scanner deeper. No, he said slowly. They are hiding. Back in the solar system, Earth's government announced a simple message to its citizens. There will be no public response. Trust the process. There were no riots. No panic. Humanity understood one thing. If Earth was silent, it meant something serious was happening. Inside a classified asteroid base near Saturn, thousands of soldiers stood in formation. Huge warships floated outside the viewing windows. Sleek. Black. Covered in glowing blue lines. The ships looked like shadows against the stars. General Marcus Reed walked along the line of soldiers. 3 months ago, he said calmly, the XYRR attacked civilians. He paused. 3 days ago, they executed our ambassador during a peace meeting. The soldiers remained silent. No anger, Reed continued. No hatred. We are not monsters. He looked toward the stars. But we will finish what they started. In the XYR Empire, small warning signs began to appear. Long-range scanners detected unusual gravitational shifts near the edge of their territory. Minor communication relays went offline. Supply ships vanished without distress signals. At first, they blamed pirates. Then mechanical failure. Then bad luck. But the pattern was too clean. Too precise. Supreme Commander Vrax received the first serious report. 5 outer defense stations have gone dark, the officer said nervously. Destroyed? Vrax demanded. No wreckage found. Vrax's red eyes narrowed. Impossible. Back on Earth, Admiral Zhao watched the operation unfold. She did not smile. She did not celebrate. Phase 2 complete, an officer reported. Enemy border surveillance neutralized. Zhao nodded. Prepare the fleets. The holographic star map changed. Blue markers began to move. Not one fleet. Not 10 fleets. Hundreds. Human warships were emerging from hidden points across deep space. They were not gathering near Earth. They were surrounding XYR space. Slowly. Silently. Like predators closing in. In the Galactic Council chamber, whispers began spreading. Have you noticed? One alien leader asked another. Human trade routes are gone. Yes. Their fleets too. Where are they? No one had the answer. Because humanity had learned something long ago. War is not won by shouting. It is won by preparation. At the edge of XYR core territory, a massive human fleet dropped out of warp. Thousands of ships. Perfect formation. Engines glowing blue. Weapons charged. No warning signal was sent. No diplomatic message was delivered. On the command deck of the largest human flagship, a young officer looked at Admiral Zhao through a secure transmission. All fleets in position, he said. Awaiting your command. Zhao looked at the image of Ambassador Hayes displayed quietly on a small screen beside her. For one brief second, her eyes softened. Then her voice became steel. Begin. Far across the XYR Empire. The stars began to move. The XYR Empire did not see it coming. Their border scanners were blind. Their outer stations were silent. Their commanders were confused. Then it happened. Without warning, without a message, without a threat. Human fleets attacked. But they did not attack cities. They did not target civilians. They targeted power. In the XYR outer military system, a massive defense platform floated near a blue giant star. It controlled shield networks for 12 nearby sectors. The crew was relaxed. Until space tore open. Thousands of human warships appeared at once. Not scattered. Not chaotic. Perfect formation. Before the XYR could react, precision energy beams sliced through the defense platform's power core. No wild explosions. No wasted shots. Just clean destruction. The platform went dark. Across the Empire, the same thing happened. Weapon factories. Fleet shipyards. Military fuel depots. Communication hubs. Each one erased within minutes. Human ships moved like shadows. Fast. Quiet. Cold. The XYR fleets scrambled to respond. Admirals shouted orders. Fighters launched. Battle cruisers powered weapons. But every time a XYR fleet jumped to defend a target, the humans were already gone. It was not chaos. It was calculation. Inside the XYR capital, Supreme Commander Vrax roared in fury. How many sectors lost, he demanded. 17 military stations destroyed, an officer answered. 5 fleet yards disabled. Long-range communications are collapsing. Vrax slammed his claw against his throne. Find their main fleet. The officer hesitated. There is no single fleet, Commander. Vrax's eyes burned brighter. What do you mean? They are everywhere. In human command, Admiral Zhao stood silently as reports came in. Outer defense grid neutralized. Enemy fleet response delayed. Phase 3 on schedule. She did not celebrate. She only said one sentence. Continue. In deep space near a XYRR supply corridor, a XYRR battle group finally caught a human fleet. This was what they wanted. A direct fight. The XYRR ships were massive, heavy, armored like moving fortresses. They charged forward, weapons blazing. Energy blasts filled space. Missiles streaked like fire across darkness. The XYRR believed humans were small and fragile. They were wrong. Human ships did not fight like the XYRR. They did not charge. They separated into smaller wings. They moved with impossible speed. Their engines bent space slightly around them, allowing sharp turns that XYRR ships could not match. Precise strikes targeted shield joints. Weapon batteries. Engine cores. Within minutes, the XYRR formation collapsed. Ships drifted powerless. Others exploded in controlled bursts. Human vessels did not chase survivors. They moved on to the next target. No wasted time. No emotional rage. Just mission. Across the galaxy, other alien species watched in fear. This is not revenge, one council member whispered. This is dismantling. The humans were not destroying planets. They were removing the XYRR's ability to fight. One system at a time. Slowly surrounding the core worlds. Cutting supply. Cutting communication. Cutting hope. In the XYRR capital system, panic began spreading. Civilian ships tried to flee. Military officers argued in command centers. For the first time in decades, the XYRR Empire felt fear. Vrax demanded a transmission channel to Earth. The signal connected to Admiral Zhao. Her face appeared calm on the screen. You dare attack without declaration? Vrax roared. Zhao's voice was steady. War was declared when you executed our ambassador. You are losing ships too. Vrax shouted. Yes, Zhao said quietly. We expected that. Vrax paused. That answer unsettled him. You cannot defeat an empire this size. Zhao looked directly into his burning eyes. We are not trying to defeat you. The connection cut. Vrax felt something cold inside his chest. If not defeat, then what? Hours later, human fleets moved closer. Not attacking randomly. They formed a massive ring around the XYRR capital system. Thousands of ships. Silent. Weapons charged. Inside the human flagship, a young officer swallowed hard. Admiral, the capital is within range. Zhao looked at the tactical display. The same chamber where Ambassador Hayes had been killed was visible on intelligence scans. She remembered his last words. We were not the aggressors. She closed her eyes for one short moment. Then she gave the next order. Send evacuation warning to civilian zones. The officer blinked in surprise. Admiral. We are not them, she said firmly. Minutes later, a message echoed across XYRR civilian networks. Leave military sectors immediately. This is your only warning. Panic exploded across the planet. Vrax stared at the human fleet surrounding his system. They would not dare, he muttered. But deep inside, he was no longer sure. In human command, final attack coordinates locked into place. Energy signatures rose. The stars around the capital system began to glow with building power. The young officer whispered, "Admiral, all fleets ready." Zhao's voice became cold as space itself. "Begin final containment." Across the XYRR Empire, darkness began closing in. The XYRR capital system had never known fear. For 200 years, it had been untouchable. Massive defense rings surrounded the planet. Thousands of warships guarded its orbit. Energy shields covered every important structure. It was the heart of the empire. And now, it was surrounded. Human fleets formed a silent wall across the stars. Their ships were arranged in perfect circles, layer after layer, blocking every escape route. No ship could leave. No reinforcement could enter. Inside the capital, panic spread. Civilians rushed through streets. Government buildings locked down. Military officers shouted conflicting orders. Supreme Commander Vrax stood in his war chamber, staring at the holographic display of human fleets. "There are too many," one officer whispered. Vrax turned sharply. "We still have the core fleet," he said. "We still have planetary shields." But even as he spoke, another report arrived. "Outer defense ring destroyed." Vrax froze. "Destroyed?" he growled. "Yes, Commander." Human ships targeted the shield generators beneath the orbital platforms. Perfect strikes. No warning. Vrax realized something terrible. The humans had studied them. For years. In human command, Admiral Zhao watched the battle carefully. "Civilian evacuation complete in Sector 3, an officer reported." "Confirmed," Zhao said. She turned to another screen. "Disable planetary shields. Avoid population centers." Human ships moved forward in small formations. Instead of attacking randomly, they targeted energy lines beneath the planet's surface. Deep underground generators exploded one by one. The great shield around the capital flickered. Then failed. The XYRR core fleet launched in desperation. Hundreds of massive warships rushed toward the human blockade. It was their last chance. The stars filled with light. Heavy plasma cannons fired. Missiles tore through space. Explosions shook the darkness. For the first time, the battle was direct. XYRR ships were larger. Stronger. Built for domination. But human ships moved differently. They worked together like a single mind. When one ship was targeted, 3 others covered it. When a XYRR cruiser fired, human vessels hit its weapons before it could fire again. It was not rage. It was discipline. One by one, XYRR warships fell. Some exploded. Some drifted powerless. Others tried to retreat. But the human blockade was complete. There was nowhere to run. Inside the capital palace, Vrax felt something he had not felt in decades. Doubt. His officer approached carefully. "Commander, the core fleet has fallen." Vrax stared at the tactical map. All red markers. Gone. Only blue lights remained around the system. "How?" he whispered. "They are not fighting for conquest," the officer said quietly. "They are fighting to end us." Vrax finally understood Admiral Zhao's words. "We are not trying to defeat you." They were trying to remove the XYRR Empire from history. On the surface of the capital world, citizens looked up at the sky. Human ships filled the heavens. Thousands of dark silhouettes blocking the stars. Then a message appeared across every screen in the system. Admiral Zhao's face. Her voice was calm. The XYRR leadership executed a human ambassador during peace negotiations. The citizens listened in silence. We offered justice. You chose arrogance. No anger in her tone. No shouting. Military command structures will now be eliminated. Civilians are ordered to remain inside evacuation shelters. The message ended. Moments later, human precision strikes began. Government towers collapsed. Military headquarters were erased. Weapon factories disappeared in controlled bursts of light. But cities remained untouched. Homes remained standing. The humans were removing power. Not people. Inside his palace, Vrax watched everything fall. His empire. His fleets. His legacy. He had believed humans were weak because they valued peace. He had mistaken restraint for fear. The palace doors exploded open. Human strike teams entered in silent formation. Advanced armor. Weapons ready. Faces hidden behind visors. Vrax reached for his weapon. But stopped. He looked at the soldiers. They did not look angry. They looked focused. One soldier stepped forward. Supreme Commander Vrax, he said calmly. You are under arrest for crimes against humanity. Arrest. Not execution. Vrax felt humiliation burn deeper than fear. You would spare me, he asked bitterly. The soldier answered simply. No. You will stand trial. Hours later, the XYRR Empire no longer existed as a military power. Its fleets were gone. Its government dismantled. Its command structure removed. Across the galaxy, star maps updated. The once feared empire was now marked as demilitarized zone. Other alien species watched in silence. Human fleets did not celebrate. They did not broadcast victory. They simply held position. Inside her command center, Admiral Zhao finally allowed herself one quiet breath. Status, she asked. XYR military eliminated, an officer replied. System secured. Zhao looked at the star map. This is not revenge, she said softly. It is a lesson. Far across the galaxy, every empire understood one truth. Humanity does not start wars. But when forced to finish one, they make sure it never happens again. The war ended quietly. There was no celebration across Earth. No fireworks. No victory speeches. Only silence. The XYRR Empire, once feared across the galaxy, no longer controlled a single warship. Their military was dismantled. Their leadership was captured. Their weapons factories were gone. But their civilians were alive. Humanity had made sure of that. Across the galaxy, fear spread. Alien governments gathered in emergency meetings. They erased an empire in less than a week. They surrounded a capital system without being detected. They could do the same to us. For the first time, the Galactic Council did not speak of human weakness. They spoke of human restraint. On Earth, a public memorial was held for Ambassador Daniel Hayes. It was simple. No dramatic music. No loud speeches. His image stood in the center of the plaza in New Geneva. Below it were his final recorded words. We were not the aggressors. Families stood in silence. Children held small Earth flags. Admiral Zhao stood at the back of the crowd, unseen. She did not see victory. She saw cost. Human ships had been lost. Soldiers had died. War always demanded payment. But this time, humanity had chosen the price. Meanwhile, Supreme Commander Vrax stood inside a secure detention chamber on Luna. He was no longer wearing armor. No throne. No army. Only a quiet room and a transparent wall showing Earth in the distance. A human officer entered. Your trial begins tomorrow, the officer said calmly. Vrax stared at the blue planet. You could have destroyed us, he said slowly. You had the power. The officer nodded. Yes. Why didn't you? Vrax demanded. The officer's answer was simple. Because we are not you. The door closed. For the first time in his life, Vrax understood. Humanity's strength was not just their weapons. It was their control. Weeks later, the Galactic Council reconvened. The chamber felt different. Quieter. Careful. In the center stood a new human ambassador. Ambassador Sophia Ramon. She wore the same black diplomatic uniform. The same silver Earth emblem. But this time, no one laughed. No one whispered. Every alien leader listened. She spoke calmly. Humanity has no desire for conquest. Her voice was steady. We seek cooperation. Trade. Knowledge. She paused. But understand this clearly. The chamber grew tense. We will defend our people. We will defend our diplomats. And we will defend peace. No threats. No anger. Just truth. An elder alien council member slowly stood. Does this mean humanity now rules the galaxy? He asked carefully. Sophia shook her head. No, she said. It means the galaxy now understands consequences. Silence filled the chamber. This time, it was not mocking. It was respectful. Far beyond the council chamber, human fleets began returning home. Warships powered down. Soldiers reunited with families. Shipyards slowed production. Earth did not expand its territory. It did not claim HFY space. Instead, it helped stabilize it. Food shipments were sent. Medical teams arrived. Peacekeepers remained only long enough to ensure safety. The galaxy watched carefully. They expected domination. They received discipline. Months later, new star maps were released. Where the XYRR Empire once stood was now marked as Independent Civil Zone. Protected by Galactic Treaty. A new law was written into Council Code. No diplomat shall be harmed. Violation will result in unified response. It did not say human response. It did not need to. Everyone knew. In a quiet office overlooking Earth's oceans, Admiral Zhao stood alone. The war reports were complete. The fleets were home. She looked at a small framed image on her desk. Ambassador Hayes. She spoke softly, though no one was there. We finished it. Outside the window, Earth rotated peacefully.